This afternoon's session will focus on the protection pillar, which is all about measuring and minimising risks and providing redress when failures occur. Invariably, and even in the most well-designed, regulated and policed industries, some failures do occur. Where they do, the industry needs to have in place the systems, processes and laws that adequately protect consumers, the community and practitioners. There must be a system of just redress for consumers disaffected or damaged in some way by poor quality plumbing. There must also be a system of just redress for practitioners that are affected by issues such as inadequate workplace safety measures, non-payment and the like. This needs to be swift, accessible and fair. As a perfect introduction to the importance of this pillar, I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker. It's Vanessa Robinson on the subject of community safety. Vanessa is the Executive Director and Secretary of the Chase and Tyler Foundation, which she established in 2011 after her sons, Chase 8 and Tyler 6, died from accidental carbon monoxide poisoning in 2010. An unserviced gas heater spilled deadly carbon monoxide into their Victorian rental home, killing Chase and Tyler and hospitalising Vanessa with acute carbon monoxide poisoning for nearly 2 months. She now suffers permanent disabilities. The accident highlighted a lack of knowledge about gas and fuel-burning appliance safety and carbon monoxide poisoning by not only the Australian community, but also within government, energy and related industries. The Chase and Tyler Foundation is dedicated to preventing death, injury and illness from accidental carbon monoxide poisoning through awareness, education, support services, advocacy and research. Please welcome Vanessa Robinson to speak on how a highly skilled workforce can protect our community and save lives. Welcome, Vanessa.
It is a great honour for me to deliver, on behalf of the Chase and Tyler Foundation, this keynote address at the 2019 World Plumbing Conference. I would like to acknowledge the World Plumbing Council and partners who have supported this event and have brought together a wealth of knowledge, inspiration and impactful change. The Chase and Tyler Foundation is a national not-for-profit charity dedicated to the prevention of death, injury and illness caused by accidental carbon monoxide poisoning. We do this through awareness, education, advocacy, research and provision of services to consumers. The story that I'm about to tell is about a story of devastation, determination and perseverance. In 2010, I lived in a rental property in regional Victoria with my 2 children, Chase, who was 8 years old, and Tyler, who was 6. As I've done 1,000 times before, during the month of May, I turned on the gas heater for some warmth in our Sorry. Have a sip of water. Very nervous still. For some warmth in our home. This one action led to a catastrophic event which sent ripple effects throughout the entire country. My children died on May the 30th, and I spent 2 months in hospital recuperating from acute carbon monoxide poisoning. I was in an induced coma. I was suffering renal failure. I had to undergo renal dialysis. I had a brachial plexus injury, rhabdomyolysis, and I also suffered hypoxia, which has caused a lot of issues with my memory, hence why I'm reading a lot of my paperwork today, so apologies. So I still suffer from debilitating effects from carbon monoxide poisoning, but that's really nothing in comparison to losing all your children in one foul sweep. One moment I had 2 healthy children, and the next moment I was arranging their funerals. When Energy Safe Victoria visited the property to assist with the investigation, they found a faulty open flued gas heater with a carbon monoxide reading of 10,000 parts per million In layman's terms, that's a staggering 500 times above the safe level. The accident highlighted a lack of knowledge about gas and fuel burning appliance safety and carbon monoxide poisoning throughout Australia. But it wasn't just consumers that had no information about these type of situations that we were facing. It was also the government and relevant industries and emergency services. So we need to do a lot of work in that space to try and help save our community. So what exactly is carbon monoxide poisoning? Oh, sorry, I'm missing the slides too, apologies. That's my children. Chase is on the left and Tyler is on the right. And as I said, Chase was 8 years old and Tyler was 6 when the incident occurred. Carbon monoxide is produced by the incomplete combustion of various fuel sources such as coal, wood, charcoal, oil, propane and natural gas. Carbon monoxide spillage can happen for several reasons relating to gas and fuel burning appliances. But the most common causes are faults, lack of servicing, lack of ventilation, negative pressure situations or block flues. Carbon monoxide is colourless, odourless and tasteless gas which interferes with the ability of red blood cells to carry oxygen. In acute situations, damage to the heart and brain can occur from oxygen starvation, which is what happened to me in my case. Carbon monoxide poisoning can cause flu-like symptoms such as headache, dizziness, nausea, breathlessness, confusion, drowsiness, loss of consciousness and collapse. In very severe cases, carbon monoxide can result in brain damage and death. All people and animals are at risk from carbon monoxide. Certain groups such as pregnant women, unborn babies, children, the elderly, people with chronic heart disease, anemia or respiratory problems are vulnerable to its effects. We suspect at the Chase and Tyler Foundation that hundreds of thousands of people have been impacted by low-level carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide poisoning is prevalent for the misdiagnosis by medical professionals and even the consumers themselves, because what the symptoms are, they're very similar to flu-like symptoms. So what happens when somebody actually presents, whether it's to your GP or emergency, and they're actually presenting with these symptoms? We get told to go home and keep warm. And one of the actions to keep warm in winter, we turn on our heating sources. I've put a slide of some people who have died from carbon monoxide in Australia. And I had a lot of people that have been impacted by carbon monoxide that haven't died, but there was too many to actually pop on there. So these are the people that are impacted and have died. And what happens when a death occurs? The ripple effects actually occur. So it's the family, the friends, the community, everybody's impacted, the regulators. So we all feel the hurt and we want to actually make an impact to make sure that this doesn't happen again. There are a variety of sources which cause their death, from gas heaters to fuel burning appliances such as the generators. We've got cooking and heating equipment that are not to be used in confined spaces. So a lot of people that unfortunately do pass away or have incidents are in rental properties or public housing. During my recovery in hospital, it took some time to actually comprehend what had happened. I was in shock and disbelief. I'd never heard of the risks associated with gas heaters, especially carbon monoxide, and the fact that they could be deadly. And I like to think back and think that if I was aware, I'm sure that my children wouldn't be dead today and I wouldn't be standing here in front of you. The first step I took was to lobby Parliament as a silent partner to legislate mandatory gas appliance servicing and in rental and public housing, along with the introduction of carbon monoxide alarms. The motion received bipartisan support, which developed into the gas safety strategy. Unfortunately, the legislation was not passed, though what did come out of it was each state across Australia now have to conduct their awareness programs to the community. So for me, that was a little win at the start. We partnered with Energy Safe Victoria in late 2010. One of the first things I conducted after talking to the member for Parliament was to call Energy Safe Victoria. So I picked up the phone and I dialed in and said, look, I want to do something about this. We need to take action. And they jumped straight on board. So that was a real clear indication that the industry was just as passionate as what I was about making changes. So I commend Energy Safe Victoria for doing that. To enhance awareness and education on gas and fuel burning appliance safety, the Foundation launched Carbon Monoxide Awareness Week in 2013, which is held every year in May. So we provide information to consumers so they can take preventative action on gas and fuel burning appliances. This is conducted as well with our campaign with Energy Safe Victoria, which have run since 2011. So we use a multitude of different types of media to communicate to consumers, which also runs through to our industry as well. Because what we looked at the fact that when everybody's getting advised to service these appliances, that it's going to have a real impact on our industry. So we needed to be prepared for the onslaught that actually happened. So we are now a very busy industry in relation to requests for appliance servicing. Our campaigns have been exceptionally successful throughout the years, with countless people's lives saved. One of my best feelings that I actually get when people contact me and let me know that without our awareness and education, they also had no idea. And sometimes it takes for people to be sick and do their own research, and they might come across our website or Energy Safe Victoria or VBA or Master Plumbers. So once they read that information, they identify with what's actually happening within their home. They'll then go get a service and real issues being identified. So really it's a ticking time bomb for some people, and we're lucky we haven't had actually more deaths in Australia. In July 2017, a public housing tenant was found dead in her Department of Housing unit at Greensborough. She died due to carbon monoxide poisoning by a Vulcan Heritage open flued gas heater. Upon investigation, the fault was identified with a draft diverter. There was a lack of ventilation within the property to run the open flued gas appliance, and the tenant was running extraction fans in the bathroom and kitchen, which created a negative pressure situation, spilling deadly carbon monoxide poisoning into her home. It was a very similar situation to what happened with Chase and Tyler. And I need to find the video. Sorry. Back. Play the video.
It doesn't make a sound. You can't see it or smell it. But while your gas heater is running, carbon monoxide could be spilling into your home. Are you sure your heater is safe? Be sure. Visit esv.vic.gov.au. Authorised by the Victorian Government, 1 Treasury Place, Melbourne.
So this is one of the new TV commercials that we've been running. Energy Safe Victoria have developed this, and it was launched this year, the Be Safe campaign, off the back of the death in Greensborough. And it's just to try and push that awareness out to the community, because we had the real risk associated with those open flued technology, especially those Vulcan and Heritage heaters, which there are quite a significant amount in Australia. And if I can find this, then I will try and run the video for negative pressure. Thank you.
The safe operation of any gas appliance requires an adequate air supply to the appliance. The safe operation of an open flue gas heater can be compromised by a negative pressure environment. This video explains what negative pressure is and its effect on gas appliances. AS NZS 5601 Part 1 2013 Clause 6.4.1. Adequacy of Air Supply states that gas appliances shall be installed in locations with adequate ventilation for complete combustion of gas, proper operation of the flue, and to maintain the temperature of the immediate surroundings at safe limits under normal operating conditions. This diagram shows the correct operation of open flue heaters. The arrows show how air is drawn into the appliance from the room for combustion. The products of combustion exit via the flue and into the atmosphere. If there is insufficient ventilation in the room or building, the installation is non-compliant and additional ventilation is required. Refer AS NZS 5601 Part 1 2013 Clause 6.3.1. Adverse Effective Air Movement Systems states, gas appliances shall not be installed where the operation of any ventilation system, air distribution system, fan or air blower could, under any circumstances, A. Deprive the gas appliance of the air required for combustion and draft diverter dilution, or B. Otherwise adversely affect the operation of the gas appliance. A negative pressure environment can be created within the room or building when exhaust fans are turned on, if there is inadequate permanent ventilation. In an attempt to equalise the pressure in the room, air is drawn into the building from external openings. In an open flue heater, the flue can operate as an opening to relieve the negative pressure. To prevent this from happening, install ventilation in the room to equalise the air pressure. This will enable the appliance to operate safely. To achieve the greatest negative pressure effect, close external doors and windows in the building. Then open or close internal doors to create the maximum potential negative pressure. Switch on all extraction fans. Now carry out a smoke test. A smoke test must be carried out when your gas appliance is off and the flue is cold. Using a smoke match, check that smoke is not drawn away from the appliance draft diverter relief openings or from the appliance combustion air intake. If smoke is drawn away from the appliance, slowly open a window in the room where the appliance is installed to equalise the air pressure. The open window will act as a guide to how much additional fixed ventilation is required. When the smoke is drawn towards the downdraft diverter opening, the heater in general, or straight up towards the ceiling, then the gap in the window opening is providing sufficient ventilation to overcome the effects of the negative pressure caused by the extraction fans. The size of the window opening is an indication of the fixed ventilation required to be installed. Please be mindful that on windy days you may see intermittent disturbances of smokes at the downdraft diverter from wind gusts at the flue cowl. This is not a sign of negative pressure. Negative pressure will draw a constant stream of smoke away from the heater. It's time to conduct a CO spillage test once you have established your installation has sufficient air supply for combustion and that extraction fans are not having an adverse effect on the operation of the appliance.
So you can see how technical it's getting for our technicians now out in the field, that negative pressure is a real topic that the government and industry are currently addressing. They've put in some great changes, but we're still moving forward with the technology. So that brings me to the question, where do we go from here? How do we protect our community? The plumbing industry has enormous responsibility in protecting and enhancing public health. Accountability stops with the government and industry. If we are not doing our jobs properly regarding legislation, training, education and awareness, then we're putting the public at risk. Going forward, the Chase and Tyler Foundation's recommendations are the legislation of gas appliance servicing in all public and private housing. There is currently still no mandatory gas appliance servicing legislation across Australia. After the deaths of Chase and Tyler and even the recent death, we have recommendations in place where we certainly have had a lot of proactive landlords and real estate agents, but unfortunately they're the landlords out there that still don't want a bar of it. So we have vulnerable community members out there at the moment that are using these heating sources because they have no choice. And because carbon monoxide, you can't see, taste or smell it, again, it's a ticking time bomb until somebody else dies. So also I wanted to talk about carbon monoxide alarms. So in the first instance, I was saying that I tried to legislate mandatory carbon monoxide alarms. With the recent death in the housing public housing that what has come out is that the department is now issuing carbon monoxide alarms to consumers, so in the public housing anyway, which is a great step forward. There's a lot of controversy about CO alarms, but what I like to say that it's fundamental to have servicing of appliances. There's no ifs and buts. We need to go down that track. But it's a secondary measure to protect these people that are vulnerable when we don't have legislation in place. How are they going to know? And we don't know. We use the seatbelt analogy about carbon monoxide alarms. If you're wearing it, we can't guarantee that it's going to save your life, but it's an additional precaution in place. So the use of CO alarms is helpful to the situation of helping consumers stay safe. We still need an Australian standard though, because the market is certainly flooded by cheaper products. Until mandatory gas appliance is legislated across Australia, people will continue to become ill, injured or die by carbon monoxide exposure, and that's a given fact. We need higher quality training and apprenticeships. These people that are taking on apprenticeships and training in the plumbing sector are our future. Let's pass along the deep-seated knowledge existing with our current technicians, and we need to ensure that this is implemented into our training and education to equip skills and knowledge of our future technicians. We need mandatory continuous professional development. It is paramount in keeping plumbers updated with the industry changes, developments, and increasing skill sets. We need to ensure we continue to learn and evolve with technology. Phasing out of old technology. Moving forward, we would like to see open flued gas appliances phased out. However, we also need to plan to ensure that older technology will continue to exist for many more decades. We have appropriately trained technicians to be able to provide these appliances, to be able to operate safely in these people's homes that still have that older technology. Closing remarks is that none of us can do this alone. It is a group effort. We are all in it together. This means that we have to create an integrated overall plan within the industry. I challenge the government and industry today that we need to look to the future and ensure to build a robust sector. Let's not be reactive to events. Let's be proactive and learn from our past and put in safeguards for the future. We need to be prepared for any advancements in technology, but let's not forget about the vulnerable community members who are left with the old technology. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for putting up with my mistakes.